In today's video, we're going to talk about languages. I'm going to answer some questions about languages, and at the end, we are going to see some phrasal verbs and idioms related to this topic. The first question is, what language is spoken the most in your country? In England, the most spoken language is English. English is actually the main language for 91% of residents here in this country. The next question is, do you have a second language in your country? No, in England there isn't a second language. Scotland and Wales do have a second language, but England doesn't. Many people have asked me what the difference is between England, Great Britain, and United Kingdom. The United Kingdom is a country that consists of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland, whereas Great Britain refers to the island. The countries of England, Scotland, and Wales are situated on this island. So Great Britain doesn't include Northern Ireland. Some people can find it a bit confusing because, for example, in the Olympics, athletes from Northern Ireland compete as part of the Great Britain team, which is usually called Team GB. That's because the official name of the team is Great Britain and Northern Ireland Olympic Team, but it's quite a long name, so they shorten it. The next question is, which other languages are spoken in your country? When it comes to foreign languages, the most commonly spoken one is Polish. The second most spoken foreign language is Romanian, and the third one is Punjabi. What is your favorite language? I think that my favorite language to listen to is Italian because it sounds quite similar to Spanish, so you can understand a few words, and I like the tone of it. I don't know how to speak Italian, but I would definitely be interested in learning it in the future. The next question is, what would you do if you had to travel to a country where people didn't know how to speak English or any other language that you know how to speak? I think that this would have been a more difficult problem in the past when we didn't have the internet. But now that we have the internet, and when you go to other countries, you can be connected wherever you are. You could just pull out your phone and use the translator. I know that there are some apps in which you can talk into the microphone and it directly translates what you're saying into that language. Or you can scan a document or a menu at a restaurant, for example, and it translates it into your language. I know a lot of people who travel to different countries and they don't know how to speak English or the language of the country that they are traveling to. And people don't seem to be worried about having these types of problems. The next question is, what languages are spoken the most throughout the world? I have taken a look at the top 10 spoken languages in 2023, and the most spoken one in the world is English, with 1.4 billion speakers. The second place goes to Mandarin Chinese with 1.3 billion speakers, and the third one goes to Hindi with 600 million. These languages are followed by Spanish, French, and Arabic. I found it quite interesting that There are currently more than 7,000 languages in the world, but only 23 of them are spoken by more than half of the world's population. And there are 573 known extinct languages, and these languages are no longer spoken or studied. It's a shame because they were local dialects that didn't have any records of their alphabet or wording, so they are lost forever. At the time, they could have been major languages, but as society and cultures change, they left them behind. Most languages die out gradually because generations of speakers become bilingual and then they begin to lose proficiency in their traditional languages. They normally begin to learn the second language to gain social and economic advantages or to avoid discrimination, and this can lead to the disappearance of traditional languages. The next question is, do you think that disappearing languages should be protected, or should we just let them fade away? I definitely think that languages should be protected because when a language is lost, part of that culture is lost. Because languages reflect a culture's history and ancestry, so when we are preserving a language, we are also preserving its traditions and wisdom and culture in general. Now we're going to see some phrasal verbs related to language learning. To brush up on means to improve something that you previously knew, or to make it a little bit better, or to refresh your memory. For example, if you haven't spoken in English for a year and you have an interview in English next week, you might want to brush up on your speaking skills. To pick up a language means to learn a language by doing it unconsciously or quickly or without effort. For example, if you go to an English-speaking country, you might pick up on some words in English. So it means that you've heard them and you've practiced those words, but you haven't taken a book and sat down and studied them. You can pick up other skills. We don't only use this phrasal verb to talk about languages. For example, I bought a computer last month and I didn't read the manual. I just picked it up as I went along. And lastly, to make out is to try to understand something or see something clearly. At the beginning of the conversation, I couldn't make out what he was saying, but somebody translated it for me. Now we're going to see some idioms related to language learning. The first one is a drop in the bucket. People say that learning a new language is like adding a drop into the bucket every day or every time you study because you slowly fill it up gradually over time. Fish out of water means to feel awkward or out of place. When you're learning a new language, you might feel like a fish out of water until you become a bit more comfortable. Hit the books means to study. If you have an English exam, you will probably hit the books to practice vocabulary and grammar. Lost in translation means that something doesn't have the same meaning or effectiveness when it is translated into another language. For example, when you watch a series in English and compare it to the dubbed version in another language, you will probably find that some of the jokes are lost in translation. Learn the ropes means to learn the basics of something. For example, if you're learning English, you must learn the ropes first, understanding the basic structures and basic vocabulary before you move on to more advanced structures and topics. And lastly, in the same boat means that you're in the same situation as other people. For example, if you go to a beginner's English lesson, then you are all in the same boat because you are all learning the same language, will face similar challenges, and you all want to learn the language. If you have enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in another video.